Hey everyone, it's Lori, and I am here with my April reading wrap up. April was a weird month for me and for a lot of people. Um, so I read 6 books in April, um, but I really only have a few things to talk about because the first 3 books that I read in April were all Wheel of Time books, and I actually listened to all of these and I think they are about 30 to 40 hours a piece. So I basically have had a part time job of listening to Wheel of Time books. And I'm actually more than halfway through the final book. So the books that I read in April were um, Knife of Dreams, The Gathering Storm, and Towers of Midnight. So those should have been 11, 12, and 13 in the Wheel of Time. So I'm almost done with the series. Um, I've really been enjoying all of the books from the very beginning. I never had any difficulty in the books that are supposed to be like the slog. Um, I really enjoy the character work. I'm enjoying the Wheel of Time, and I will be finishing that up in May, which is not something I expected. But during this time of self isolation, social distancing, it's just been what has been keeping me moderately sane. So the next book I want to talk about is one that I read on my Kindle. I had checked it out from the digital library for Charlotte. We had read, or I had read, and we had watched Stargirl in March, I guess. It doesn't seem that long ago, but it was like a month ago. Um, And I found out when I was putting that into my Goodreads that there was another Stargirl book called Love Stargirl. So I went ahead and checked that out for Charlotte, and she read it. And I decided I might as well read it too because, it's a middle grade book and not very big. And it took me 2 days. So, like, I started it one evening and finished it the next morning. And basically, this is written as one long letter from Stargirl to Leo, the protagonist in the first book, Stargirl. She's kind of writing a massive letter slash diary to him. Um, and she has moved to a new town in a new state and is getting to know some new people. So she's got some very interesting friends. She has like a little girl that she befriends that she kind of babysits for, but is almost like a big sister to. There's another girl who's a little bit younger than her that she's kind of mentoring. And then there's an agoraphobic lady who never leaves her house that she becomes friends with. But there's also this male character, this boy in there. And the way that Stargirl was kind of the whole manic pixie dream girl thing in the first book, which was written from Leo's perspective, I feel like this character in the second book is almost a manic pixie dream boy for Stargirl. So it's just a very kind of odd thing. But so it's written kind of as a letter slash diary format, and it was fun. Not earth shattering, but well written, kind of fun characters. I enjoyed reading it. The next book is one that I recorded a video with Charlotte about that will be up later than this, I believe. And that is for our British literature this year. We read Paradise Lost. And I did try to read this copy, a physical edition, but again, I've been having trouble focusing on books. So I did actually check out the audio for this and listen to that as well. So that's another like 9 hours of audiobook in April. So, not the biggest fan of Paradise Lost. It's written fairly well. It's just very lengthy, and because it is a retelling of a biblical story, I kind of knew what was happening, and there wasn't enough there that really kept me super interested, hence the having to move to an audio to get through it because I just needed to get this done. And then the last book I want to talk about is actually the book that disappointed me most in the month of April. This is one that I was reading for my Catholic 2020 challenge. One of the categories was something along the lines of a book about feasting. And I didn't think I had any books like that, but my husband found this one on my shelves, just kind of hanging out. And that is the Catholic Parents Book of Feasts. Now, I want to say a few things about this before I start my rant about it, because there will be a little bit of ranting. This is an older book. It was published in 1999, which is the year that I got married. I believe it was 99. So, the world in 1999, yes, was quite a bit different than the world in 2020. I had hoped in picking up this book that it would give me some ideas for how to live our faith at this extremely difficult time when we aren't going to church. And because of health conditions in our family, it may be a long time before we actually go back to church, but masses just aren't even being offered yet in my state. Any way you look at it, we're probably not going to go for a while, just to try to stay safe. So I was hoping that this would be something where I would have some things that I could implement with my family. My family is not the target audience for this book, I don't think. Now, you would think Catholic parent would be the target audience of this book, but the target audience of this book is Catholic mom to a whole bunch of littles who stays at home, probably homeschools, most likely wears a denim jumper, doesn't mind cardboard craft projects all over the house, and her husband makes a solid income in his home on weekends. So, like, engineer, professor, something that pays well enough to afford a large Catholic family with a mom at home. Now, there are those families out there, and that is fine. I don't have a problem with those families. But where I'm coming from is, yes, I am a stay-at-home homeschooling mom. My husband is not home. He farms with his dad and his brother. So right now he's there. He's been there every day during our self-isolation, social distancing, stay-at-home orders, because it's an essential business. We have to keep the food chain going. So he's not here. And he's here even less right now because we're in planting season. So he might be home slightly earlier today because it rained all night last night. But his dad's in a tractor planting stuff, so he has to pick up a lot of the slack around the feedlot with the cows. So I don't have a husband home. I do not like crafts. Not my thing. Like, I don't mind handicrafts. I like to crochet. I like scrapbooking, but like kid crafts where you turn a cereal box into a Mary Grotto or something, that is not my sort of thing, and it never has been. I had to struggle when the kids were little to make sure to do arts and crafts with them, but it was always a struggle for me. So what this book does is something that may have been not available before this book. So this might have been like a great book in 1999, but then blogs happened, and then Pinterest happened, and so this is just not as helpful as I had hoped. Basically, it goes through, so the first section is like got the liturgical year, so like Advent, Christmas, Lent, Easter, and it just gives some different ideas. There are a lot of like little recipes in here. The way it's formatted is awful, because sometimes you'll like read a recipe at the bottom of a page, but it won't be till the next page that the occasion for the recipe shows up. So the formatting's just kind of wonky. It doesn't make sense. It like, I don't necessarily expect a narrative, but it's almost like it tried and failed to have kind of a narrative through it. And pretty much most of the suggestions are like, go to mass, make a craft, go to mass. So it's targeted very much to people who can make it to mass all the time, which right now that's nobody, but even normally, because we are 17 miles from town, we don't go to daily mass. And so it's like, go to mass for this and do this and celebrate this and make this craft project. So they assume you can get to church really easily, and they assume you have small children. There's very little for teens in here besides the occasional, and then discuss with your teens this and this. And I don't know if the authors at the time they wrote this book just didn't have any teenagers. It's entirely possible. I just don't know. There's a section on ordinary time with different ideas. And then we get into a section about the saints. And so this one was fairly disappointing to me because it just like lists saints throughout the year and has like the shortest little paragraph about them. But it's not like that. It's not like they gave an idea for every saint for a way to celebrate that saint. They do it sporadically, and sometimes there'll be like 3 saints in a row where it's like make this recipe, and do this craft. And then there'll be like 10 saints in a row where it's just like a paragraph that was pretty much seems to have just been taken from some other saints book. So you'd be much better off just having a year with the saint book where you could read it every day, and not have all of these silly like thrown in random recipes and stuff. So also in that section, so there are several points in here where it talks about a particular saint or a group of saints or whatever, and then it says find X country on your globe and pray for the people of X country. Now, Korea, Japan, African countries, South American countries all got this treatment. With 0 European saints did it say, look for Italy on the map. Pray for Italy. So there's like this unintentional underlying racism that probably just was because we weren't thinking about what that sounded like back in the 90s. So the unintentional racism was a bit much for me. The fact that every suggestion was go to mass and make a craft project. Like, if you were all about the, like, construction paper and cereal box craft life, this might be great for you. If you just want, like, a little something about the saints and a few ideas and lots of craft projects that aren't super well explained, this might be a great book for you. I forgot about the last section. There is one more section in the book, and that is prayers and devotions. So this much in the back is like different prayers and devotions. Like, I would suggest have a prayer book or like an app with prayers in it, like Laudate. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. It's an app that I've used on and off for years, where it has prayers and Bible readings and whatever. Find a podcast, start a Pinterest board, go to Catholic Icing. That's probably my favorite Catholic craft website. And I would just skip this one. Like, this is not what I was hoping it would be. And maybe back in 1999, this was like, wow, somebody finally made a book to help Catholic parents, raise their kids and make that faith part of the everyday life. But we have so much better resources now. So I would recommend skip this one. I only finished it because I had kind of put it on my Catholic 2020 list and I felt like I should. So anyway, those were the books I finished in April. If you've read any of the books and have comments, I would love to hear them. Just write them down in the comments below. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.